Hello everyone. So yesterday, the Iron Fist update dropped. And alongside it were a crap ton of balance changes which included nerfs and buffs for specific styles. Hell, some of them also got a complete rework. So in today's video I will be discussing everything that got added, and after that, I would rank them on the tier list I made. As always, the link for this tier list will be on the description below. The styles that are currently on the list right now are the styles that have rankings that I'm satisfied with. Anyways, let's start with the newcomer, the Iron Fist style. This style can dish out a crap ton of damage in a short period of time, but at the cost of losing health. His M2S will deal self-damage regardless of what you hit. If you land an M2 on a blocking opponent, you lose health. If you land an M2, you lose health. This self-damage can't be healed, so keep an eye out on your HP bar. And on top of that, if you land his ultimate you also lose health that you can't regenerate. But his ultimate does 80 perfect damage, so it's almost just a one-shot. Besides the insane amount of damage it also has this broken debuff you can apply when you land his M2s. This debuff is the same debuff Kimura has, so let's talk about both of them here. The debuff that both the Iron Fist style and the Kimura style has is called the slow debuff. What this debuff does is obviously slow the opponent down. And by slow, I mean really slow. It legit prevents anyone from running away. Even Hanslow can't run away by backdashing backwards. But this isn't the only thing it can't do. It can also a variety of things as well. And all of these are pretty much insane. One of these is that this debuff also reduces the opponent's iframes, which basically means, if they don't dash at the right time, they are going to get hit if their debuff is bad enough. And if that's not enough, when you apply this debuff, your enemy's stamina consumption gets higher too, so even if they do catch you, their attack isn't gonna do anything because their attack is gonna end pretty quick because of the debuff. Overall, this debuff is crazy for both Iron Fist and Kimura. For Iron Fist, it makes it so that if they don't perfect dodge his M2, they are going to get hit with its massive damage M2s. And for Kimura it's pretty much the same. But for Kimura, the debuff will apply to every single one of his attacks, be it his M1s or his M2s, making Kimura more consistent in applying these debuffs. If I were to rate these styles, I would put Iron Fist on A tier, while Kimura will also be an A tier, just because of the debuff they can apply. Next up is the new reworked Ghost. If you main Ghost before this update you probably noticed that Ghost got a very significant change this patch. Let's first talk about the new Ghost description. He who rules with his left rules the world. Like a ghost, your punches are hard to see coming. Highlights on punches reduced massively. If you didn't think anything changed, here is a picture of Ghost's old description. So in summary, the Ghost jab is no longer a jab that can be countered by blocking. When you hit a jab on a blocking opponent now, Ghost doesn't get any kind of end lag, and will now be continue jabbing even though you landed your jab on a block. And all of his jabs after landing the Ghost jab all deal some decent damage, which is better than old Ghost's damage after landing the old Ghost jab. And the new gimmick Ghost has now is that both his M1S and M2S have barely any highlights. If you don't know what a highlight is, it's basically the outlines that show when your opponent is attacking, giving you a slight visual cue to dodge. But for Ghost, that is barely visible now. So in theory, unless your opponent can read your rhythm they can't dodge attacks on reaction now. Or at least the new Ghost gimmick made it harder for them to dodge on reaction. Don't get me wrong, Ghost right now is significantly weaker than what his was before. But I do think people were overeating about the new changes it has. It's still pretty good. So I were to rank it, I would put it on A tier still. Up next we have the nerf Slugger. Slugger got one of the nastiest nerfs a style could get. It got a flat-out damage nerf for his M1S and a massive nerf in terms of block damage. So the nerf made Slugger lose a lot of pressure. Even styles like Hawk and Trickster can somewhat tank Slugger M1S now. The nerf didn't change the damage on his M2s by the way. It still does a crap ton of damage if it lands on someone. Just not that much block damage when it hits a blocking opponent. So theoretically you can still perfect dodge an M2 and make that your main source of damage. When this update dropped Slugger was so bad to the point his M2 did no damage on block. His M1S still have stupid reach, his M1S still have anti-heal. His M2S are the same and the only thing that got changed is his damage on blocking opponents. Overall, it's way weaker now than it was before. And if I were to rate it I would put it on low A tier. It's still pretty good if the user knows what he's doing. Next up is Hawk. Hawk probably got one of the best buffs anyone could ask for. He pretty much got a stat boost and it made perfect dodging with his sway back much easier. Because his sway back now has more perfect dodge frames. So if you hit him too early during it, you will get perfect dodged. If you hit him late to maybe catch him, you get perfect dodged. And on top of that, his M1s deal more damage after landing the first M1. And did I mention he also takes lesser counter damage now compared to before? Hawk right now is crazy. So I would put it in S tier. Up next is the Hitman style. The Hitman style did get a nerf this patch. And the nerf was pretty much the same as his old nerf. An M1 damage reduction. This change didn't really do anything but it did make it lose some pressure with his M1s. But it's still P-fast and does good damage despite the damage nerf. So I would still put it on A tier. Up next is the buffed Wolf. Wolf got a ton of buffs regarding his White Fang. These buffs include a speed increase, a damage increase and less end lag after landing it. His M2 now comes out almost instantly and is pretty hard to see coming. I would even compare the new White Fang to the old Ghost Jab in terms of speed. The new Wolf is significantly way better than old Wolf. So I'm gonna have to put it on A tier as well. Up last were the low tier styles on the last patch which got buffs. The Hands Low style and the Trickster style. For Hands Low, it's pretty much the same as it was, but it can now take hits. And is a lot more tanky. It has a lot more room for error if you did a mistake using it. So it's safer to use it. It's a lot easier to use now so I would put it on high B tier. And then we have Trickster. Oh Trickster. It wouldn't be an Untitled Boxing Game update without another Trickster buff. Trickster basically got a stat boost. His M2s are now faster and his ultimate now almost does the same damage as Hitman's ultimate. Or maybe it does the same damage as it. I haven't tested it but, basically, it kills at this HP now. And if I were to rate the buff Trickster style, I would put it on B tier now. And yeah, that's basically everything new on the update. Phew, that was a lot. And that was how I rated them. Do you think this rating is correct? If it isn't then feel free to comment down where you would put them. Anyways, that's all from me, see you guys on the next one. Peace.